Hello and welcome. My name is Penny Meckley Porter. I'm the owner here of Thrive Therapy Space in Erie. And today we're going to be talking about getting unhooked from thoughts. So I'm wondering, do you get hooked into thoughts? So hooked into a certain way of thinking where you're kind of maybe spinning on something. Perseverating is another word I use sometimes for just kind of spinning on the same thought or the same series of thoughts kind of over and over again. Overthinking I use. Ruminating, might be familiar with ruminating. Dwelling, spinning, perseverating. So it's something that most of us do. This way of getting hooked into a certain thought or series of thoughts and then getting kind of like stuck there, right? So we're like almost going round and round and round the same thought. So it's perfectly normal, it's not abnormal at all, but it's not necessarily productive. So first I'd like to, ask you about a situation that you tend to get caught back up in, right? You kind of tend to spin on something. So if you could be bringing something like that to mind, and then I'd like to ask you what your brain is trying to do by continuing to think about this over and over. So you might say that your brain is just trying to understand. Oftentimes there's situations and we're confused, especially by other people's actions. So maybe your brain is just trying to understand why they did what they did, or why they didn't do what you think they should have done, or why their approach was some kind of way, or how a situation happened, right? So anyway, that's one of the things that maybe your brain is trying to understand. Another thing it could be doing is like trying to problem solve, trying to figure out a situation, solve it as a problem, figure out how to do things differently next time, right? So there could be some level of problem solving. Your brain could have as its agenda something other than what I've just mentioned. I mentioned trying to understand, trying to problem solve. And one of the ones that I personally struggle with is when I come back to something, I'm often having like a conversation over and over and over again, which sounds crazy. You'd think that if I recognize it, I could just stop it. But no, it can be difficult to stop. But that's one thing that my brain tends to do, is it tends to explain this thing. So maybe I have somebody in my life who doesn't understand my perspective and I don't feel heard or seen. And so I'm keep trying to explain it. And that can be another place to get caught. Again, you could have another goal that your brain has and overthinking. But the bottom line is that we really can get stuck in thinking about the same thing over and over again. So my next question to you is, does it work? So this area that you've thought about many times, have you resolved it? Have you figured it out? If you have, that's good, and I'm really glad. But oftentimes we get caught up in this thinking, and we end up getting stuck in the thinking. And one thing I noticed maybe 10 years ago after some therapy, what I started to notice is that by me getting caught up in this thinking, I was keeping myself kind of agitated. And that in my agitation, I actually was much less likely to solve the problem, to find a creative solution, to be able to just let something go. Maybe I don't have to keep explaining, maybe just even to let something go. And letting something go can be a great strategy on the pathway to finding another way to interact with that thing. Letting something go doesn't mean you don't care. Anyway, so for me, I was caught up in this overthinking. Over time, I started to recognize that it was keeping me worked up. And the more I could let go of the overthinking, the more I could access my wise mind, and make different choices in a situation. So another question is, how does it feel in your body? So this overthinking, spinning, does it work? That's one question for you. Another is, how does it feel in your body? At some point in my life, I've started to realize that I feel kind of like activated and kind of gunky. I don't have a better word than that. Kind of gunky in here. And it doesn't actually feel productive now that I've recognized it more fully. So what are we going to do about this? Let's practice noticing the thoughts. And instead of getting hooked in to whatever, there's probably some certain thoughts that really get you hooked in. Instead of getting so hooked in, we're going to be observing the thoughts, observing our mind, observing what's happening. And we're also going to be trying not to get caught up in putting a lid on the thoughts. So let's say I notice whatever kind of crazy thoughts I have, I go round and round and round. They're not literally crazy, I'm using that figuratively, but let's say I notice my crazy thoughts, I'm going round and round and round. Part of me is going to want to just like stop it, put a lid on, close it down, and that can be really difficult to do. So another strategy is to use our mindfulness skills to observe our thoughts. So let's get started. Once again, I'm using this book, Practicing Mindfulness. I'm using one of the exercises. It's called Unhooking from Thoughts. I have modified it some, but it's a good little book. All right, I invite you to sit back comfortably in your chair. Close your eyes. Feel your body, every place you're touching the chair or the floor. Just feeling all of those touch points. And allow yourself to be supported by the chair. So that the chair right now is there to support you. Allow yourself to be supported by the chair. Now bringing your awareness to your breath, wherever it is that you like to bring your awareness to. It could be the movement of your breath in your chest. It could be the movement of your breath in your shoulders. It could be the sound or the sensation of your breath at your nose. Bringing your awareness to your breath. And feel your breath, and there might be a favorite way of breathing that helps center you. For me, it's taking a big, deep breath. And then a big, deep exhale. Now I'd like you to bring to mind the image of a snow globe. And then bring to mind the image of that snow globe being all shaken up. Right side up, maybe even upside down, all shaken up. And then just be with that image. And allow the snow globe to settle. Let's say we stop shaking it. We allow the snow inside the globe to settle, to fall gently down. Think of yourself as a snow globe that at times can be quite shaken up, perhaps by other people or other people's actions. But with the mindfulness practice, we start to recognize our own contribution to being shaken up. And with a mindfulness practice, we can start to have more and more ability to let ourselves calm down, to let the snow globe of the mind and all those thoughts calm down, and the snow drop back down to the bottom of the globe. Now bring your attention to the breath in your body, bringing your awareness back to your breath. You'll notice yourself getting caught up in thoughts, probably. And whenever you do, just bring your awareness back to the body. Normally, when we practice mindfulness here together, we bring our awareness, once we notice our thoughts, we bring our awareness back to our body as an anchor. So the physical body as an anchor. This time, however, once you notice your thought, see if you can just notice your thought and allow it to pass. Notice your thoughts as they arise and allow them to continue on their way. Sometimes people like to picture clouds in the sky. So the thought is the cloud, or the many thoughts are the many clouds, and then we allow them to pass. So giving that a try, when you do have thoughts, acknowledging the thoughts, kind of picturing them as clouds, and allowing them to pass. It's kind of a different approach than jumping into the thought. What I'd also like you to do when you notice your thoughts is to see if there's a theme to your thoughts. What is the mind doing? Maybe you notice yourself planning, fantasizing, problem solving or figuring out, explaining, that one's close to my heart, or replaying past experiences. But there's probably a theme. Well, you probably have some random thoughts, like did you buy bananas and did you put it on your list? Okay, yeah, there's probably many random thoughts. But we're talking about the ones we get hooked by, and the ones that we get hooked by, there's probably a theme. So notice the theme. Don't berate yourself, no shaming yourself, but noticing. One more image I'd like to practice with, because maybe one of these will really resonate with you more than the other, is noticing your thoughts flowing almost like a river. This is different than a cloud, obviously, but let's say your thoughts are flowing as in a river, many thoughts flowing, and you're stuck like right in the middle of that. I don't know, there you are in the middle of the river. You're not drowning, but there you are in the middle of the river, swept up by the thoughts. Just the whole thing, you're all like flowing down with those thoughts. But then let's have you go to the bank and climb out of the river and sit on the bank, so that you're observing your thoughts. You're actually separate from your thoughts. You're using your mind to sit back and observe the thoughts as they pass. Because now you're on the bank of the river and you're not caught up in the river. I'll give you a few more moments to practice this, allowing the thoughts to pass. Again, allowing the thoughts to pass. Good job today, listening, noticing, thinking, and then letting go of the thoughts. Bring your awareness back to your breath, please. Perhaps another big deep breath. And then when you're ready, opening your eyes. This is when I wish we were having a two-way conversation and I could ask you, how was that? To me, this is kind of an interesting concept, to really be observing our thoughts instead of jumping in. I tend to just jump right in. One word for this, it's called metacognition. Perhaps you've heard that word already, metacognition. So it's like thinking about thinking. There's more to it than that, but metacognition, noticing our thoughts, and even changing our relationship with our thoughts. It used to be, for me, I'd have a thought, I would just jump right in, boom, I'm gone. I'm off with the thought. And this idea of not jumping right in, for a long time, I don't think I understood it. Then when I started to understand it, I 100% couldn't do it. And now I think sometimes I can do it, and sometimes I understand it. So I hope you will practice unhooking yourself from your thoughts, allowing your thoughts, allowing them to pass by, and not necessarily getting stuck in your thought. I hope you practice noticing the flavor of your thoughts, especially the ones that you get stuck in. And I hope you'll come back next week when we talk about expanding gratitude for your body, because most of the time we just don't like our bodies, but we're going to expand gratitude for what your body does for you. And then before we end up today, I would like to say to you personally, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, and may you find peace. And I hope to see you next week.